yet another edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Between the Headlines, we are fortunate to have with us some former panelists of the Spoon Talk, a very popular Liberian diaspora television program that highlights some present issues in our country. And in tonight's edition, we're going to discuss with them their reason for quitting Spoon Talk and what are their next steps. With me to do this, I have my co-host, the one who many believe is the political bulldog, Mr. Anthony Nambwe Sieh. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be here looking at gentlemen who and us have been in this business. Familiar faces, by the way. Gentlemen, I want to take the time to say welcome and thanks for agreeing to do this, to say, hey, I think we owe it to the Liberian people to explain to them what happened, given that they have been listening to us. I think there's something commendable. I just want to emphasize that. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Let me first welcome. This is not being partial here, but a fellow guy from Monrovia College, Mr. Dr. Henry Peabody. Mr. Peabody, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's really good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also, Mr. Peabody is a former panelist on Spoon Talk. I also want to welcome a guy born and raised in Firestone, who is also a former member here, is Tomalin George. Mr. George, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Jah. Thank you very much.
I also want to welcome Mr. Ben Sanvee, probably his third or fourth time on Focus on Liberia. Ben, welcome back home.
Thank you. It's good to be here. You are right. This is home turf. I know I haven't been here in such a long time, but still a strong and a very consistent admirer of the platform. But thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Last and definitely not the least, a couple of years ago, very regular caller on the show here. That's Mr. Keff Hassan. Keff, welcome to the show. I mean, nice haircut.
Thank you, Mr. Jah. Nice to be here again.
Again, we want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. We want to say welcome to the show. Let me start by going around the room to our colleagues here to give just a brief intro on something happened, right? Something happened. They've been with Spoon TV, and for some time now, the CEO of Spoon was indicted for some charges here. And tonight's discussion is not to go into the merits of the indictment. We're going to concentrate on their role, what they did at Spoon, why they left, and what their next steps will be. And we have some video clips that we could also play. But let me start by, guys, to just tell me a little bit about how you got involved with Spoon TV. What was your role on Spoon, what you did? We saw you on TV. It's a very difficult job to keep doing what you did Mondays through Fridays and sometimes through Sundays. And undoubtedly, Spoon became one of the top platform here. So let me start with you, Mr. Keff Hassan. Tell me a little bit how you got started with Spoon, and what was your role? What did you do?
Thank you, Mr. Jah. I started with Spoon 3 years ago. We started with during the COVID by helping the Liberian people, and then we started with God can bless anybody to help our people during the COVID, but then it turned into a political discussion to move Liberia forward. So I started with Reverend Peabody, and then we with Reverend Martin. So from there, the other guys then came out, and then the Spoon went into different direction that we were not expecting. So we become a household name in Liberia now because of what we do. But it was 3 years ago, and then I love every moment what we did to bring the truth to the Liberian people.
Thank you so much for such extraordinary work. Let me go to Mr. George. Mr. George, in addition to you starting, what really we saw you on TV, was that all you did or you were something else? I want you to add that to see your work at Spoon.
Good evening, Mr. Ja. Good evening, Mr. Sieh, and the rest of my colleagues and our Liberians, fellow Liberians in radio and TV land. I've been involved in Liberian politics since our school days, and came to the USA. And in fact, I think if you guys were in Liberia when Ben became the National Youth Advisor, I was at that program when under the banner of the Liberian National Student Union, and we just been interested in Liberian politics. So came to the States, and that the Peabody, in fact, prior to that, Stanton kept inviting me to join the panel. And then I kept putting it off until Peabody met me and told me, said, man, look, come, man, come. I like you write, I like how you write, and I think you'll be a great part of this process. Come. So I came on, and in 2020, I joined the Spoon Talk. And we developed a great platform and very good culture, and we became a household name in the Liberian body politics and on the social media and so forth. And we enjoy it, and we always cherish our members there and so forth. But as time evolves, we had to part ways for our own national, of our own future and so forth. So this is where we are today, and we are here to explain to Liberian people why we took such a decision. And so hope to hear our side of the story, and they can be the judge.
Thank you. Mr. Sanvee.
Thank you. It's good to be here. The question was, when did we join Spoon, right?
Yeah, how, and what was your role?
Actually, very interesting story. The current vice president, I think Stanton wanted to interview the vice president, and he had reached out to Henry Costa, and Henry Costa told him, the only person that I know that can, reach out to the vice president is Ben, who has a close relationship with her. And so Costa reached out to me, and I said I had not really heard about Spoon. I knew they were doing some stuff, what Keff alluded to, the issue of the COVID. I know they were doing some good stuff there with Reverend Martin and the other folks. And so we had a chance to briefly chat. Stanton reached out. We had a chance to briefly chat. And I said, oh, okay, because the VP had reached out to me and said, well, do you know these people? Because I know you know everybody. So do you think it may be a good thing? I said, yeah, it's good. Go there, have a chance to have a brief chat with them, and let's see what happens. That's how me and CEO got in touch. And then after that interview, I don't think he knew about me. But I think after the interview, I think Costa maybe told him something, and then he reached out to me and said, my man, you seem to have a very interesting story. I never knew. So I think you will. He said, we have this show now, the Oman King on the show. I think you should come and visit once in a while and share your thoughts and on Liberian politics. Because at that time, Dennis, I was on. I think I actually broke my silence on Focus on Liberia. Yeah. I had taken a sabbatical from politics, and then I started visiting. And then it became, hey, I think this is something we can continue to do. I shared some ideas with him, and like Tomalin said, the rest of the crew started to join, and the rest is history. And we became the folks that people, I like to say famously love to hate, right? But it is all part of the game, and it's been an exciting ride. Right. But it's been a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, good time indeed. All of us, we all watched Spoon. I mean, it blew up in our eyes, what Spoon was able to accomplish with you guys putting in work day in, day out. Dr. Peabody, what's your story?
Well, it's interesting. Once again, it's good to see you guys. See you, Dennis, and my former senior in Mervyn College. Good to see you, Mr. Sieh, as well. But actually, I became Stanton and I have known each other for many years. In fact, we were members of Reverend Martin's church. Reverend Martin was our pastor, Reverend C. Levi Martin. And we went to that church until we took our other engagement in different places. And then Stanton, Reverend Martin has shared with me that Stanton was opening a radio station. He and the giant Ashford Galley, they all went to Liberia and started Spoon, and they came back. And there was this program that called God Can Bless Anybody. And Stanton loved that program. And then, during the COVID, sitting home doing nothing, one day he invited me. He said, "Hey, can you join us and ask some Bible question here?" And we joined every Sunday. We used that program as well to help a lot of people in need. There were thousands of dollars we raised helping people.
And you're a pastor, right? That's what.
Yes, I am a ordained minister. I'm not actively preaching now.
About it.
I'm into another ministry now. I'm into humanitarian work, nonprofit. I work with Mission International, where I travel back and forth in Liberia, building clean water, schools, and all of that. In fact, I'm on my way back again next month. But he called me, and I got on that show, and the politics was very interesting. So, after we did it for a while, and then we branched out into politics, interviewing people. It was very interesting learning the Liberian politics and learning the Liberian people. So it's been a good route prior to my departure. It's been a very good route.
Thank you. And before I switch it over to my friend Anthony, I want to ask you a blunt question that's on everybody's mind. Were you guys into any contract agreement, and were you getting paid to be on Spoon Talk?
So let me I will take it. First of all, again, thank you.
Some benefits or some incentives.
Of course,
I don't want to say pay.
So I will say it's when we first started. In fact, when Stanton reached out, and I'll speak for myself, but I know it goes for the other guys also. I know when he reached out to me, the first thing he said to me was, he said, "You know what, let's join the conversation," and blah, blah, blah. And then when I visited one or two times, the second time I visited, the fourth time I visited, he said, "I think we want you to stay on. And what I normally do for the guys is, we do provide some, for some stipends for them." And I said, "Oh, sure, that's fine." In fact, I even jokingly said to him, I said, "Oh, you're going to have to pay me for this knowledge. I will not lie to you. I'm not going to sit on a platform for 2 hours a day and don't get paid, because I'm actually taking some time." So yes, we did for the first, I want to believe the first year and a half. Every 2 weeks there was some stipend, and just to be transparent, I believe it was like $400 every 2 weeks. And then about a year and a half ago, he reached out to us, and he just said to us, he said, "Look, guys, business is not doing too well, and but in fact, the moment he said it, I remember it was on a call. And all of us say, "Come on, man, Stanton, we're family now. This is not about, this is not about money or anything like that. We've built a platform. We are big. The Spoon Talk is our baby." So the answer is in two parts. For the first year and a half, we did get some type of stipend, and then and it wasn't anything like we signed a contract or anything. Even though we used to joke on the platform and say we had a contract, but we never really signed any contract. It was all pretty much based on friendship and trust. And then he was also very magnanimous to be able to provide us with that stipend. But within a year and a half, the last year and a half, there hasn't been any stipend or anything provided to us.
Right. But let me come in, Ben. And I'm sorry, guys. I personally never had any regular stipend from Stanton. Maybe here and there, but I never had a 2 weeks or monthly Ben, you remember one time
Yes, you did.
you even laugh at me and say, "Oh, you're doing this and something free." Most of my appearance on Spoon was on a pro bono base, and yeah, and there, Christmas something, yeah, and there, but every month, no. I mean,
And I also want to say something before you move on, because I know Anthony's going to come in.
Yeah.
And I want to
I
say,
just want to echo Mr. Kev, if he wants to, the here and there and something. I don't know if you want to throw in any amount. If you don't want to, that's fine. But
I do around the same neighborhood of what Ben talking about here and there.
okay.
yeah.
Not too much.
So I do want to say, and I want to make it. Oh, I want to come out of the door. I believe that Stanton is a good man. I want to say that for the record. We got a chance to get to know him. We got a chance to get to know his family. I met his wife, beautiful kids, and I do want to state that for the record, regardless of whatever has happened. I think it's important that we state that for the record, because I do believe, and I still consider him a friend, and I still consider him someone who I believe we got close knitted as a family. So I want to make that clear.
Thank you. Let me go to Dr. Peabody. If you want to speak to that same question.
Yeah, sure. In the first year, he did give a little stop in to us, and then later on he couldn't continue. About a year, almost 2 years now, he couldn't continue giving. But the fact that he's a very generous guy. Let's be realistic. He will give you. I mean, you met him somewhere you'll meet. If it's 400, 500, he will give it to you. I mean, that was very good of him. He was very, very generous. You can't take that. He was very generous.
Mr. George.
Yeah, like my colleague said, yes. Since a year and a half ago, he stopped giving us that whatever this $400 you're giving us. He stopped it, and he told us, like he said, he wasn't in a position to continue. And in fact, Spoon have made us. I mean, we are out there, people know us and so forth. But whenever we travel, whenever he's invited to a program, like interstate, he's invited to a program, he asks us to accompany him. Yes, he will, and we're leaving our jobs, leaving our families and so forth. So he will make sure that if I would finance ourselves, then he would pre-finance the trip and then reimburse us for going. So so for even the trip to Liberia, yes, same thing. So
thank you. So here's my final question, and one person can answer is: was there any structure when it comes to organization, or Ben is the maybe you are responsible for this one? We have the CEO, we have an office manager. When it comes to the Spoon Talk now, I don't mean the global or the bigger Spoon network. What was it like structurally?
Structurally, there was no real. To be honest with you, again, like I said, it mostly was. It was like a brotherhood. It was like, and then Dr. Richardson came in, right? Because I remember for the longest time there was this huge debate on whether we should include a woman, and I know Stanton used to always joke and say, "My man will come bring a woman on the tier, it will be a problem." They will start giving all that time. But then we ultimately brought in our sister, Dr. Richardson, who joined us. But there was never really to say, oh, there was this hierarchy order, Stanton. Obviously, Stanton was the CEO of the network. And that's the other thing I want to state. People mix Spoon Network and Spoon Talk.
Right.
Spoon Network consists of his other businesses, his radio stations and other things, which we had nothing to do with, right? All we had was the platform that we appeared on. And yes, obviously, we consider ourselves a part of the Spoon family. So sometimes we're very quick to, sometimes we're very quick to like just run with things and say, oh yeah, that's Spoon. In fact, Spoon Talk became Spoon Network, and I like to make that distinction because there was Spoon Network where the three radio stations and the TV stations and all the other things he was doing, and then there was Spoon Talk, which ultimately was a signature program on the radio that ultimately gained the notoriety that we ended up gaining. So
yeah, Mr. Sieh.
Thank you, gentlemen. I want to start from where you guys just ended on the issue of the stipend. $400 about that year and there went on for about a year and a half and a stop. At some point, you guys became best of buddies, and now you're being informed, hey, I can't continue. Did your curiosity, urge you to ask, hey, where was the money coming from? When we were receiving it, and now it's not coming when we are putting in more time now. Did you care to ask that question? And now that this spoon talk became very popular, did you ask whether or not it was raising money to pay you to continue to start paying? You didn't ask that question?
You guys want me to take it, or Tomalin, you want to go in?
Let me say this. First of all, when we got there, we talk a lot. So I asked him what was his, what was the deal? And he told me he has in nursing schools and so forth. And so forth. So then I asked him, and he said, well, that's why I went to the office in Delaware. I went to Florida too, and I saw his structure. So, and I said, okay, and you and I know nursing school make money in this country. So when somebody owned a nursing school and so forth, and he had real estate business too. So I said, this guy, so I knew he was well to do. And so he made it clear. I mean, he showed us how he was earning his money. And we never got involved. We just saw it, and when they spoke on our phone talk. So until we reached to this point.
So there, let me also take a stab at that. So yeah, obviously when I joined, I did ask him. I was like, "Hey, what do you do?" And he did mention to me that in fact, his exact words to me was, "I buy." He said, "I run a nursing school, and what I do is I buy struggling nursing schools that are not doing so well. I have a chance to go in there and turn it around and stuff like that." Again, look, I never dug any deeper. I have my job. I work in this country. I'm a professional. I'm a project manager. Many people don't know that. Many people believe that I live, I live off of politics, but that's another story. Like I always like to laugh and when people say that about me. But yeah, I never really, to be quite honest with you, I never really dug deeper, never asked any difficult questions or to see, because at the end of the day, I was like, listen, this is a young Liberian. This is someone who has made a name for himself. He is reputable in our society. In fact, Stanton, like Peabody said, was very generous. There are a lot of people who Stanton helped, political leaders, political figures, all of them, everybody. He was very, very generous with people. So there was never that thing where all those questions were asked. And so that's why when this indictment dropped, everybody was shocked, like everybody else. We got to find out the way everybody else got a chance to find out. So,
yeah, actually, the thing is, if you go to that school, the one they had in Delaware, you had no reason to deny that there's not something serious going on there. It looked very real. Everything was real. You go in the office, you see professors, they had nice in lab, they had everything there. So if you go there your first time, there was no reason to believe that something illegal was going on or something bad was going on. It looks very legitimate. I mean, I went there 1 or 2 times and saw it, and it looked legitimate. So my conclusion was, hey, he got a school and he's doing well. We're very proud of this man. He's doing very well. He had a lot of students. You go there sometimes, you see a lot of folks come there. So you have no way of denying that there was not a legitimate school. I don't know about it. I just know this man had a school and he was running it and he was doing great and all of that. That's all I know. So.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tomalin. Go ahead.
Let me just add there. Okay, I know you asked a very good question, Anthony. But let me say this though. There were times where people would come out, obviously on Facebook, especially when whenever on the show, and then if Stanton went after someone on the political side, the next thing you hear, people will be writing on Facebook about FBI stuff. We hear all this stuff, and then at certain times we ask him individually, what's going on? And he dismisses it, like they let them talk, and so forth. And in fact, one incident with me is that I think last year, someone who worked in the department asked me and told me, he said, well, I want to talk to you, and brought it to my attention. And I said, look, it's keeping surveillance on you guys. I said, like, how? So then I went and asked him, and what his exact word to me was, you my brother. Whenever you hear and stuff like that, keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear anymore. Don't bring it to me. Stay away from that. I don't want to hear about that talk anymore. And just don't bother to tell me about it. Keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear it. So I said, but then everything is fine. And I just saw, I said, well.
Thank you, Mr. Josh. And
hold on, Anthony. I want Mr. Josh to give a little more. He said FBI stuff, and they said they were keeping surveillance on you guys, meaning 4 of you plus Mr. Witherspoon and other. FBI said they were keeping surveillance on you.
It was this Liberian guy. I won't call his name, but he worked with Homeland Security, I think. He met me in Trenton and told me, I want to talk to you. And then he showed me Mr. Cummings' passport. He showed me and showed me several passports, showed me what pictures were going to Liberia. He said, but I just let you know that we know all those who travel in and out of this country, we have them on database. But I just want to make you know that I'm not joking with you. I'm telling you something. But you guys are not in problem. Only your CEO is on surveillance. But I just want to let you know. So I decided to go as a friend and tell him about it. And I talked to him one-on-one, and he dismissed it. He said, look, I don't want to hear it. Keep it to yourself. When you hear anything, don't bother to tell me. I don't want to hear it. So like that, I said, but then everything's fine. So I just took it to be that way and went on. I said, but then things fine.
Okay. And my next question is, gentlemen, the Spoon Talk, and my question will be directed at the Spoon Talk because that's what I know you guys have been part of for the most part, like Ben Rapley said, even though you're part of the Spoon Network family. So for Spoon Talk, did Spoon Talk make any money as a talk show? That's it to that. And the Spoon Talk as a program, as a part of the Spoon Network, did you have to give some gas money to appear? I'm asking these things because these are things we hear. Did that happen at any time?
No, I don't. And I speak for myself. I don't. First of all, I don't know of any. I know we did have discussions about trying to, because I remember I said one time, and I remember the guys where I said one time, I said we need to actually monetize the platform, right? Because people do that on Facebook. Let's do ads. Let's do this. We got all these people following us and stuff like that. But then it never really went anywhere, to be quite honest with you. The whole issue of doing ads for companies and stuff like that. I remember, I think I won at one time, I think Orange even reached out and said they wanted to, Tommy, you remember that conversation? I think they reached out and they said they wanted to do like an ad on like a promo, like, when we on live.
Sponsor the show.
Yeah, and they said when they would say Spoon Talk presented by Orange or something like that.
Okay. And
I remember I brought it to Stanton's attention, but then he said, well, yeah, work on it, try to check on it. I asked the guys, but then it never really went anywhere, to be quite honest with you. And then I think also that's when we started to get very, 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 very controversial, right? When there were certain things happening, the platform was going after political figures and stuff like that. So I think maybe Orange themselves said, maybe we shouldn't do anything. But no, to answer your question, no, I don't know if any resources were raised as a result of the result of the platform. I don't know that. All I did was listen. I logged on. I came. I talked my politics. People cussed me. I laughed and left, and we left left the platform. But no, not to my knowledge. But like I said, I do know we had quite a few interests at one point in time. To answer the question whether people were paid to come on, I also don't know that. I don't remember when I don't know if Stanton did that with people, but I don't personally know that also.
Ben, you also said that Stanton is very generous. He gave money to political leaders and politicians. You care to mention any name?
Well, no.
And whether that was in exchange of any political favor?
No. I wouldn't say that. When I say he was very generous, Stanton, it's not secret. There were times where we will raise money for certain causes. He will contribute. Remember when Archie Pompon situation? He gave.
I'm talking about political leaders. I'm talking about.
No. What I'm talking about is the fact that there are people. There were causes that I'm sure he supported. You know, he was very generous. So, but no, I don't want to go into
No,
that.
I just don't want it to slide. I just want to be transparent.
Yeah.
Anthony, if you have more questions, but let's come to the point of mainly why you guys are here. We read your press release, and we had Mr. Witherspoon's version of the story even before you guys came out. Before we go there, I just want to go around the room and say what happened.
All right, so let me start again. So listen, the thing about us, and many people don't know, is that the platform became very, I would say, controversial. Right, there was a lot happening. There's a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of enemies created. There were a lot of friends, and when you get that big. And I think it actually changed because when we came back from Liberia, when we went to Liberia and the response and the reception that we got in Liberia, I mean, I think everybody was discussing it, right? When the president went to visit us. I mean, we literally were everywhere we went. People were celebrities, you know? Yeah. So it garnered a lot of attention. And so what happened was, first of all, let me state for the record, we did not resign because of Stanton's indictment. Point blank, period. We don't know. I cannot say anything, but I don't know the merits or the demerits of the case. What I know is what you know, Mr. Ja, is what you have read publicly, is what is in the public sphere. So we did not resign because of Stanton's the indictment and the current case that he's going through. We resigned because we had an internal disagreement on the forward movement of the platform. And this conversation started way before Stanton got indicted. There were issues, there were concerns that we had started to raise internally amongst ourselves. I personally, I will say, I remember people used to say, I used to always say, Spoon Talk is a melting pot. That's what made Spoon Talk so powerful, because everybody felt they have a way to, when they get there, they will be able to go there and get the chance to get the side of the story. I always used to tell my colleagues on this platform, I used to tell them, I said, gentlemen, we're not investigative journalists. We're not journalists. I used to always say that. I said, we're political pundits, we're political analysts. So I think one of the places that we started drifting was when we started turning into a platform where, whistleblowers will come and we breaking these news and all of these different things, talking about these corruption. And not to say anything is wrong with talking about corruption, but we started getting into the business of actually investigating, right? We were collecting evidence, people sending evidence, people sending this. So I started to ask some of those questions to say, listen, we're getting into the election area. Let us start focusing more our attention on the politics. Let's start inviting, let's start going back to what made Spoon Talk. Let's start having these candidates come. Let's start grilling them. Let's start asking them the questions and stuff like that. I think Stanton had another direction he wanted to go, but then he was also there was also this thing of we got caught up in the facts of the hype. Depending on who you dealing with today, the other side praising you. When you're dealing with Cummings, the Unity Party people praising you. When you're dealing with Boyka, you remember there was this pedal on this swing seesaw where every day, one day we are ANC platform, the next day we CDC platform, the next day we Unity Party platform. Long story short, right? I think what ended up happening was when the indictment came, first of all, it was a shock in the system. It was a shock. We woke up. I was in Liberia and I saw like almost 50 missed calls on my phone. When we got the conversation, we reached out and we had a meeting with Stanton to, first of all, check on him, how his family is doing. All of those things happened. Then the conversation started to intensify about, okay, moving forward, what is this platform is going to look like? And I do remember some of the conversations. So I will stop and let, maybe I'm sure because I feel like you have a follow-up.
Right, I do. But what before you stop, was this always done in a group or was it one-on-one? Because anytime you're ready to start this conversation, was it all 4, 5, 6, 7 of you coming together to talk, or was it Ben talking, or at one point Peabody, at one point Kev? What was it like?
So y'all can answer if you guys want. I mean,
No,
sometimes
Ben.
I would say
Dennis,
yeah, I would
Sometimes.
say sometimes.
All right, let me go to Peabody on the
Yeah.
same question. What happened? We saw your
look, Dennis.
and then
You know,
those internal disagreements.
Yeah, you know, the fact here is folks don't know what happened and they are like jumping to conclusion. For the fact here, Stanton removed us from the show. I can send you a chat from in our chat room that Stanton, actually I have since Tuesday, he blocked us from going to the show to give me access to the show. If anybody have watched the show since last Tuesday, you have not seen me on, you have not seen Tomalin and Ben, he blocked us.
And what prompted that?
I have this message here that he blocked us from going on the show because we engaged him that we need to discuss for at least a minute, just gave the audience some information about what happened, his case. We said, we're not going to get into the merit of the case. We're not going to say anything, but just tell the audience that, look, our CEO got indicted. He pleaded not guilty and investigations are ongoing. He refused. And when we engage him to rebrand the show so that it can bring some credibility back, he refused and blocked us. I was blocked since Tuesday. And that's why I've not been on the show. If you block me from Tuesday to Friday, you don't want me on the show. Then I say, you know what? It's about time to pack my bag and leave the show. But we did not resign. He took us off the show. That's the fact.
And why was he doing that, you think?
Because he did not like our engagement about rebranding the show, about having a conversation on what has happened so that we can tell our public. We engaged.
And do you think he was getting a sense that maybe by that suggestion that you were making to him that you might be trying to take away from him that which he built, maybe?
Well, why would we want to take somebody's show? Nobody want to take away this man's show. It was still going to be the show, but I mean, with that cloud hanging over you, we were trying to make sure to safeguard him so that it will not run into different problems. The problem here was, look, let's do it this way so that for the future. And he refused. And I can send you the message that we were removed. He removed us from the show and removed us from chat room. Send that message to you so you can see. We didn't leave the show. He took us out. And then at the end, I resigned. I'll speak for myself. I resigned.
And Peabody, exactly what were the rebranding that you were talking about? What was it? What was this rebranding all about?
The rebranding here was, hey, we're going to take down our pictures. No picture will be there that will show CEO on the show. We're going to take that picture down and we'll maybe put like the flag of Liberia or put something there so that the show could be like that. It will still be spawned. It will still run. But can you imagine? We talk about people all the time. People got arrested. People are corrupt. People steal. And we can't even say a word about what happened to our CEO on the show. He said we should not talk about it. He would talk about his own case. We should not get into his case. And that's the reason that we were blocked. That's the reason we were removed from the show.
And he wanted his picture to be on the flyer, the Spoon Talk flyer, as you guys will post daily. He wanted his picture to be there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we wanted the entire picture to get down. To be honest, get down.
Okay. Let me talk to Keff, to Tomalin before we go to Keff, because Keff, Tomalin, what's your own, what happened and why did you resign?
Look, let me just come first. On the day of this thing, on the day of this indictment, it was on a Wednesday morning, and Senator would call me in the morning, we talk and discuss other issues that happen over the day and so forth. And I called him all morning. I didn't get him. And I got calls from Liberia calling me. Some people are calling from Liberia. And I said, look, yesterday was the man's wife's birthday, man. So the people on honeymoon. So, I mean, that's why maybe you guys not getting hold of him. But the calls kept coming all day. And then I got concerned. So then I reached out to his family. And I asked them, and they said, oh no, they said, we haven't heard nothing. So later on, before the show could start, I contacted. I got a tip. I got to talk to his sister and told me that the woman said that they talked to his wife and he had gone to the office to take care of business. So I said, okay. So I got on it. Before I got on the show, I got a tip that there was a raid. And then, but I got to just imagine now, you're about to get on the show. And that's that kind of a news. Okay. And mind you, months and whenever there was a political person would attack on Spoon or whatever the case, you hear people saying the FBI watching you, FBI watching you, all the kind of story they're telling you. So, and I already inquired and so forth. But when I heard that news, just imagine about 10 minutes before the show.
News of the indictment.
Yeah, 10 minutes before the show. Just imagine how someone would feel, right? Like I was completely demoralized and I was like shaking because, like we said, never expected to hear such a news. But I got that news, but then I had to do the show. I had to do the host. So, but I was on the show that day, not to myself at all. Completed. And
but Tomalin, may I hold you there? You said somebody had tipped you or the person pull you and show you passport of other political actors.
Yeah, somebody
and told you that this is coming. So how could you have heard this now and be this short and you saying now that you never expected anything like that?
Because, like I told you earlier, when I heard that, I confronted Stanton and he told me that it was like it was dismissed. Look, when you hear a news song, keep your news there. It's not. It's like I don't want to hear it. If you hear anything, don't tell me. You hear what I'm saying? So that's why I felt okay, fine, because everything is fine. So that's why it got me shocked. Now I'm telling you, that what got me shocked when I heard that one got a tip off. So I got on the show, but at that time, none of the other guys knew. I think only Peabody knew, but nobody else knew on the show. And I kept on looking at the comments that day to see what up stuff would come up, but nothing came up. So we went through the show, and then right after the show, he still gave me a call to call me and told me that what had happened, and that but we're out there, you're out there, but everything is fine right now. So Thursday, news started to come up on social media. Everything went in the air, and just imagine for that whole week, each of us on this panel, all of the guys on there, how we felt, because all along I felt that nothing was I wouldn't ever hear such a news, but I heard that and then this thing happened and we were being bombarded, we were being attacked. I mean, you know how you felt psychologically, had an impact on us and so forth. But we had a meeting now and then said, look, this is where we are. He briefed us on it, and then we said, look, you have to write a statement, address our viewers, address the Liberian people, tell them what happened and where we are, and give them some just a little bit of information, but you don't have to go deep in it because it's on an investigation now, right? So, and that what happened, and statement was issued. We told him, look, but then again, for now, you got to stay away, stay back from the show, and so forth. He wanted to come still, said, no, you cannot come, stay away. And as time progressed, we will handle things differently.
But I wanted to say something, Dennis.
Yeah, I just want you to complete. You're saying stay away, but he's the one paying the bills, right?
Okay, yeah, but then now, mind you, now we had a meeting on a Tuesday. I think I called for that meeting. The first question I asked, I said, look, with what's happening now, I want to know first whether Spoon Talk will continue. Then he said, let me ask a question. He said, let me go around the room, asking each person whether they still want to be on Spoon Talk. Everybody in the room, there was Peabody, Keff, Ben, Francine, we all said, look, we are still going to be part of the show. He said, if that's the case, I can assure you Spoon Talk will continue. So we said, fine. And we started to move on. We said, make the statement, everything was fine, we'll move on, and so forth. But again, when people started to question us every game about your credibility and all kinds of stuff, like going back and forth, we said, look, you need to come up. We need to break. We can't just keep the people in darkness.
And that's where, Dennis, that's where I wanted to pick up from, because I think there's a point where I wanted to talk about that meeting. And it's very important. I hope you give us the time to explain that, because this is where the main drama started. When we had that first meeting, when we had the agreement, in fact, Tomalin, he's very right when he said, hey, when Stanton asked the question about, whether anybody wants to stay and stuff like that, I said, listen, and we all agree, you got to issue a statement. Then we went further and said, when you issue this statement, in fact, I said, make sure that statement is written with the consent of your lawyer. I said, because whatever you say publicly is going to be used against, or, whatever it is, right? So when he did the statement, I remember, but then I also stated to him clearly, I said, a part of that statement, when you come on, you have to announce to the country that you're stepping away. To our surprise, and this is where, like I said, the whole drama started, because the statement was issued, and the statement, I think, it's still on Spoon page. It was a well-written statement, very detailed. It just talked about the fact that we can talk about the issues and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Then when he came on, in fact, I think it was me who actually announced it and said that day he reached out. I was in Liberia. He said, I want all of you guys to come on, so it looks like we're all. I said, oh, sure, we will all be on. I will log on from Liberia. When he came on, he actually stated, he started talking and it was going well. Then he said, Spoon Talk is going to be bigger than ever. We're going to stay. In fact, Monday, I will be on the show. And I remember everybody was like, oh my God, like, no, this is not what we talked about. And then after he left from the show, we had another conversation and said, we have to engage Stanton. Keff was the moderate one, because Keff always kept saying, guys, we're engaging, because this thing is Stanton's baby. Like, literally, this is therapeutic for him.
So Ben, not to interrupt, I just want to bring Keff in, because he's being quiet before he falls asleep. Let me hear from Keff as to his side of the story when it comes to why you joined. Because the first press release did not carry your name. It was the second one, right? So let me hear from you.
Thank you, Dennis Jar. I serve as the mediator between my guys and the rest of with Stanton. I keep I try to keep myself in the middle, because the whole thing was going a different direction. I try to keep myself in the middle to put them together. So I will talk to Stanton, I will talk to the guys the whole week.
So who were on both sides? Stanton on one side, who were on the other side?
The three guys were on the other side.
Where was Dr. Francine?
Dr. Francine was here and there, so I couldn't tell where she was, but so I was doing the talking between them, and I told Stanton, because one of the things the guys said, which makes sense, to rebrand the show. The guys said, we cannot be preaching equity and we don't come with clean hands. They said, no. We said, we cannot be holding the government feet to the fire. We cannot be attacking. And then we have this thing on our hand. That's the point they were coming from. So the rebranding is not to take the station away from Stanton. It's not to take away anything. Is to stay back and let the platform to redeem our credibility, because the entire country were going after us. Our impact was this attack. You're not talking. Why are you talking against the government? Why are you talking against this person? And you guys know the way I was on the show. I will go hard on the opposition. I will say this, but then while we are muted on our CEO, so the guys said. So I was one in the chat in the meeting said, you know what? If Stanton wanted to talk about his case, let him talk. But sometimes I said to them, I'm not too comfortable talking about it because of security implication and all that thing. So the guys said, no, we don't need to go deep into it. We just need to say something about it because of, we owe that. And the reference and my former colleague, which is my partisan, and Isaac Doe. When Isaac Doe had his incident, he was off the show quick. And matter of fact, he was off the chat room quick. The reason was we cannot be preaching certain things, and we have an Isaac Doe who were accused.
Right.
So he was off the show.
Did he do that voluntarily, or he was kicked out, or it was a unanimous decision?
No, it was a unanimous decision.
It was a unanimous decision. It was a unanimous decision.
But Dr. Francine was the one who led that.
But that's what I'm going to be. Dr. Francine led the attack. Dr. Francine led that attack on Isaac Doe and said, look, he needs to be out because we cannot have a show and have Isaac Doe. You know, as a matter of fact, he said to us that she cannot sit on the platform with a correct character of Isaac Doe.
And with that, I'm curious now. What is Dr. Francine rather?
I don't want to twist to Dr. Francine right now.
No, I'm asking my question. You can choose not to answer it because you are saying that she was very firm when Isaac Doe issue was happening, and that you guys made a decision. And Isaac Doe got. I mean, it was on the basis of accountability. This is accountability to. It said that she thinks that Isaac Doe is a different person, and this is the CEO who pays the bill, so you should make exceptions.
Let me say this in her defense, in Dr. Francine's defense. When Stanton says in the meeting that those guys should leave, or he was when he attacked those guys in the meeting that they should leave and get out of the call, Dr. Francine said, Stanton, what you said is not right.
True.
She said that in her defense. She said,
no, my question is in respect to you guys saying let Stanton stay away. What did she say? Was she in agreement that Stanton
there was no definite? She wasn't definitive.
She wasn't. So at that point, we don't know because I made a call to her and say you have to step in. I will not be the only person stepping in. You have to step in. But let me say this. A lot of people out there asking, why you join the guys? The reason and I joined those guys, because when I tried to mediate between, I realized that my friend and brother Stanton Witherspoon had a different motive. His motive was to put out those guys. A matter of fact, I will say this, and there's a reason I never said it to the guys, and I will say it today, because I never wanted the guys them to feel bad. He said, I don't need them. I don't want them. He said that to me. When he took the guys them off the chat room, Ben called me. And guess what I did? I lied to Ben and said he was just joking. He was just playing fun. He will come back.
You're trying to cover him up, right?
Yes, I did. Because when he took the guys them, he never wanted the guys. So when folks out there saying that the guys just left, or I see some folks say betray, it's the other way around. I think my brother Stanton Witherspoon tried to betray the guys by bringing another people. And I told him, and I'm saying this, Stanton, I'm the most closer guy to Stanton on that show. We talk every day, every minute, to his family. And I told him, I, Keff, will not be on that platform without my original guys. Because one, we don't agree. Ben and I, Tomalin, Dr. Peabody, we're not on the same. I'm on the government side, and they're on their side.
So Kev, quickly, when you guys, two questions I have for you. When you guys say the CEO should stay back, he should recuse himself, knowing very well that the spoon talk does not bring in money. Everything is out of the CEO's pocket. He is paying everything, in fact, including stipends before. When he stayed back, what really does that mean? Who's going to be paying the bills? Who's going to be coordinating things? Because
Mr.
you guys, the structure was not there. He was like doing everything.
You asked a good question. This was not staying back as in give us spoon.
Exactly. That's the difference. That's what I wanted to say.
This was not that as in give us spoon. No, this was staying back as in let the case play out.
Don't come on the show. That's what it means.
Yes.
Yes. Just the show.
That's the show. Let the case play out. Don't try to do things behind the scene. And
but he wasn't on the show. I mean,
but
Kev, can I come in 1 second?
Okay, go ahead.
Let me say something, Mr. Jah. Couple of things. I said it earlier. We don't run Spoon. We never did. We never endeavored to. We don't know how people are paid in Monrovia, and like we say, for almost a year and a half, we have not been, But the point where we were trying to raise here, and there's something else that is very important that I need to highlight here, is the fact that when we told Stanton, the other thing that he was doing was we felt it's almost like, I remember I even gave him the example of Roger Ailes. I said, Roger Ailes was probably the most powerful man in American media landscape. Mm-hmm. He started Fox. The Murdoch family owned Fox, but Roger Ailes was the one who started Fox News. Roger Ailes was accused of sexual advances to women and stuff. In fact, there's a movie on Roger Ailes. If people don't know, go watch it. It's called Bombshell. Roger Ailes had to, when they announced that there was going to be an internal investigation, not federal. When the people brought a complaint, it was an internal investigation. Roger Ailes had to step aside as president of Fox News.
Right, because Fox can run itself, but Spoon cannot run without the CEO.
Yeah, but the point is, we want to repeat. If this is Stanton's, okay, let's just say, right, this is his legacy, Spoon Talk. Right. Our argument was, if we're not telling you to shut the radio station down and cut everything off. Our argument is we are being bombarded. First of all, we wake up every single day. We come on the show and we act like there's no elephant in the room. Yeah. We act like there's nothing has happened. We're the only platform that acts like nothing has happened. And that was wrong. Every single day, people were asking us. We didn't know what to say. And for me, I even said in the meeting, Mr. Jah and Anthony, I said, I don't know how. That's why we're having this meeting of the minds. How are we going to do this? Is this going to be once a month update? Maybe when you go to court, we say, listen, but we always with a caveat as there's a legal thing. We can't talk about the merits or demerits, but this is an update for our audience. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. There was never an attempt to say there are the win-win me. So I find it disingenuous for him to even have made a statement. Who will pay for the gas and who will pay for the thing? Because at the end of the day, this was not about taking over the network.
Thank you. Let me go back to Keff as to exactly why he resigned, because we heard a different story. Mr. Hassan.
Yeah, that's the reason I resigned, because I saw the platform were going in a different direction. I told Stanton this. And I hope he's listening, whoever will listen would let him. I told him this: I would not be on the platform without my original guys. I would not be. This is not about being on my political side or my political view, but I will not be on the platform. Matter of fact, I have threatened to walk away. Tomalin George was one of the person who say I should stay. I even got off the show once. Tomalin George called me, "Don't do that." The guys they say, "Don't do that," because I would no longer felt that I should be there, because the platform was going in a different direction. That's not what I signed for. That's not what I want to be. So it was my personal feeling and at that time. So the reason I would say, because the platform the platform is going in a different direction. That's not the platform I know that I
Thank
want.
you. Thank you. Let's listen to Mr. Witherspoon.
Thank you for wonderful work. We appreciate you. Levin Howard, greetings to you and the family. I hope the young man and the young woman is doing well in school. And your beautiful wife, we say greetings to them all. The general himself, the minister himself, Colonel Ed E. Remy Gray, want to say thanks for your participation.
All right.
Great program. To all of our followers, we say thank you for being faithful, joining us, joining the Spoon family, the network, as we move on. As you know, 8 months to election. A little under 8 months to election. We want to say thank you for being faithful through it all. We happen to be here.
The recording is kind of a little scratchy here. But Kev, what Mr. Witherspoon said, that you called him and said that you got a call, a mandate from the highest in government, and most of us surmise that that's President Weah, that you should get off Spoon Talk. If you stay there, you are on your own. You are not representing the government. You called Mr. Witherspoon to say that. What's your response to that story? Is it true?
Let me make this clear. In no time, and I will say this, in no time, the president of Liberia called me and said, stay out of Spoon. Matter of fact, let me say this to you, Mr. Jah. In Liberia, we were having lunch with the president, and he said to me, he said, Keff, let the people talk. Let people oppose. That's what democracy is about. Let it call. He always wants different view. And he said, let Tomalin speak. Let the guy speak. He said, but that's what the guys are dead. That's what dead. Dr. Richardson were dead. Other folks that were there. He turned to me, he said, let them speak. So in no time, this president will want to silence the voice of anybody. I made a conscious decision because the way the platform were becoming. I made my own decision. Since I made my decision, I haven't spoken to the president, to nobody in the government. I made that decision. And the decision is coming from me, Keff, Hassan, not the president.
So, Kev, if I may follow up, you removed the part of the president calling you.
Mm-hmm.
Did CDC, the party I understand you are a member of, call you and instructed you to inform Stanton about you leaving?
Let me say this to you. The answer is no. Nobody within the government called me. Nobody. I stood with my guys because of the betrayal that I was saying, tried to remove my guys and bring in another face. I was not comfortable with that.
All right.
I was not comfortable with another face because I decided to step back because reason, Anthony, reason. What the guys were talking about is about rebranding in order to regain credibility.
Thank you, Kev. That answered my question. Thank you so much. Peabody, I want to come to you here.
Mr. Sieh, let me play that again because Kev, are you saying this conversation never happened between Mr. Witherspoon and you? Not at all.
And Mr. Ja, after Keff, I'd like to say something quick, please.
This discussion that they said on Spoon, that I said the president instructed me, never happened.
Let's take a listen.
Legally, we cannot speak on the legal issue that is concerning what is out there, the case. We will speak on it accordingly, due time. Thanks for your prayers. A lot of people have reached out to me. A lot of people continue to send me scripture. We went back to the Bible because it says, see, oh, read the scripture, read the scripture. God is in control. We are well. We want to announce, which is very important, we have to tell the nation, as you get ready to move towards election, Spoon Talk is here to stay. We will do everything by God's grace to give you the message. We will be objective. We'll be very measured. We take no side, as you all know. For government or not for government, imposition or out of position, whatever you may call it, we take no side. We want to be very objective on the program. I follow the show. Dr. Richardson and the team been doing extremely well. I have come to announce to you at around 2:50 p.m. Eastern United States time, my brother Keff Hassan called me and he said, CEO, the government of Liberia is hired top have advised me to leave the Spoon Talk. And I said, Keff Hassan, we've been in this boat since 2020 during the COVID. You came on the show not because of government. You came on the show not because of me or anyone, but you desire to help through the foundation, the Spoon Foundation. He said, yes, CEO, from the highest within the government. I'm shaking. I'm crying. I don't know what to say. But they said that if I'm on Spoon Talk, I do not represent the government. I'm crying. I don't know what to say.
Let me come in on that. When I called him, told him I can be on, I left the barber shop. I think I talked to you. I was in the barber shop.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the cleaners, got my clothes from the cleaners. Why should I cry? For what? For what? That alone. That's all. Witherspoon, a friend, will not say I was crying. Crying for what? Am I a baby?
Right.
Crying for what?
You talk to him, but not about that, not about the president.
No, I was telling him I can't be on Spoon. I cannot be on Spoon because what you tweeted it, right? So I called him several times to tell him that I will not be on Spoon because I made a conscious decision that if those guys will not be on, I'm not will not be on.
Thank you. Let me add one more there. Mr. Eugene Lamin Fagon, who is also there with you, had this to say that this whole thing is about him. Let's take a listen.
The whole truth. These people went into the chat room and voted overwhelmingly to remove me from the platform in their chat room. And I challenge anyone. The screenshots are available. I double dare them to lie about it. Last week, Monday, week before the last, they began harassing the CEO. What was my charge? He's too dominant. He know all. He needs to be removed. He's spoiling our show. And the CEO said to them, you guys come here. You preach for your son. This man can hear. He talks for himself. What is the problem? They said that he must remove me. They insisted that I must be removed. For 1 week, they went back and forth in the chat room. And he said to them, he said, Ben, you travel with the vice president all around, including Togo recently. You are a co-host here. You came back, you said, President, we are sent for you. And y'all had a nice time. You came back here. It was on that platform, that Ben endorsed Alexander Kunis. Ben came back from President. What did Ben say? It was an honor for the president to invite me. And I'm open to anything. Fair enough. Tomalin have gone from anti-sedition to inactive sedition, then to independent, then to what? Sedition.
So that's the gist. He said when you guys failed in removing him, your next step was to get Mr. Witherspoon removed, to recuse him.
I don't even want us to get credence to this.
Let me come there. You see, I don't think we should give that credence to Fagon. Let me tell you, I in the group said that I called Stanton and said, look, Fagon talk about my parents. And because of that, I would leave Spoon. And the guys then say, oh, my man, no, you can't do that. We're in there. I say, I will walk away because I don't want to sit there with someone who's talking about my parents. Tomalin George went out and said, we can't do this. We are a platform who have different views. That's what Tomalin George said. He said, Keff, don't go. Tomalin George spoke to me. He said, don't walk away. We need different views. I said, different views will not include my parents. So to come out and say the guys then voted, you see, that's why I walk away. My brother Stanton Witherspoon is my dear friend, but what he told Fagon was wrong. Because Tomalin George, that he talking and guys and saying that was not the truth. Because Ben, I got angry at Tomalin George. I got angry. I said, I mean, this man talking about my parents, then you say we should have different view. So to come here and say this thing, it's hurtful. No. So what Stanton told Fagon is wrong. So Ben, you're coming on your own side, but I can tell you no. I got angry at Tomalin George. I got angry. I said, this man talking about my parents, talking about certain things that is not true, and then you want me to sit out. You guys don't want me to leave because I said I was going to walk away from the platform.
I want to, first of all, let me state, I'm not going to respond to a man who wears a woman blouse and said the government gave him cyanide and is still alive. So I'm not even going to waste my time. Honestly, I'm not going to. But let me say this. This was classic what Stanton was doing. The divide and rule and conquer, whatever the situation is. And I will state this. The reason why Stanton rushed on the show that day to throw Keff under the bus, who, by the way, was the one person who was supposed to play this, was playing this mediator role. When Keff called me on Thursday, after our heated meeting we had with Stanton, Keff called me and said, Ben, I think Stanton has slept over the whole issue. And he's calm. He wants to talk to you. I said to him, I said, Keff, my concern here is, I know Stanton, sometimes he can do that thing. Keff said, Ben, you can't do that. I said, you know why? You're right. I never caught a speech from Stanton. In fact, it was Stanton who left the meeting. It was Stanton who left the meeting. So if he called, I will answer. But then he said, Ben, I will do a 3-way. I said, good, because I need you to be on that call for reference. When Keff called on the phone, in fact, Keff called me back and said, Ben, you don't believe. Stanton called me, Jenna, and told me, say, I'm going to tell you, say that I the one requesting the meeting. So I laughed. I said, well, you know how he can act. When Stanton came on the phone, Stanton said to me, he said, oh, Keff, you the one call your meeting. What's going on? So I jumped in and I said, Keff and Stanton, our position remains the same. My position here is, let's have another conversation and let's get to a logical conclusion. Stanton said to me, Tomalin and Dr. Peabody will not come back on the show. He said, you and Keff, if you won't come back on the show, that's fine. I said to him, but then you know what? This conversation has ended because apparently we're not making any progress. Fast forward. After Keff called him and told him that he was standing with us, he jumped ahead and went on the show to throw Keff under the bus. But he did not stop there. And maybe you will play that. He announced that day on the show that Ben, he said, don't ask me about Ben Sanvee. He said, because Ben will be on the show, Chairman Ben will be on the show on Monday. Peabody and Tomalin George, which are working out the schedule, they will come also, which was a lie.
Ben, if I may follow up here, based on what you just explained, I want to know, besides this man being this generous man we all hear about and you talk about as well, when it comes to leadership, running the platform, what kind of man you saw him to be? What are some of the things you have to condone to maintain that relationship with him as you ran the show?
And Ben, you kept referring to, we know how he is. Stanton will be Stanton, right? So break it down.
Listen, the bottom line is and I'm trying my best to seem like this is not about throwing him under the bus, right? This is about telling our truth.
Yeah.
Because there is this thing out there that, they betray Stanton in his hour of need and all this thing that's going on out there. And you know what? Maybe there's some legitimacy because at the end of the day, the statement we issue, we said internal disagreement and we didn't go into details, but there's only so much you can put into a statement. When I say, Stanton, we all know the truth is Stanton has a way of calling one person, saying this, trying to do this. If there's a crisis, you'll be like, oh, my man, don't worry about that, man. Talk for yourself. Those are the kind of things. And for me, it wasn't really a big deal. Like I said, half of the people who sometimes are throwing the darts, we all have these things happen sometimes in organizations and stuff like that. So it was never really a big deal for me. My issue is, and just to push forward, that's what gave rise to that press statement. We had no intention of issuing a press statement because we were under the illusion that at some point during the weekend, we were going to have a conversation. Mind you, now that after we ordered the chat room, but we were still under the illusion that at some point, God kept telling us, my man, don't worry. Even Dr. Richardson, the day we had the heated argument, we ended the meeting. We stayed an extra hour on the phone with Dr. Richardson. And she said, you know what? I think you guys individually go and talk to Stanton. And I told Dr. Richardson, I said, I'm not doing that. I said, I'm not going to talk to him. I said, because if Stanton cannot respect us to stay on the call and end the conversation, I'm not going to call him. So the issue of the press statement, and it is true, I told them because Tomalin called me panicking and upset and said, because Stanton has said, I wasn't watching the show. Tomalin called and said, Ben, why will you go and tell Stanton that you're going back on the show? Don't do that. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, go and watch a repeat of the show. What Stanton just did. When I watched the repeat of the show, that's when I called them. And I said, gentlemen, what Stanton just did is dangerous. He threw Keff under the bus. Not only threw Keff under the bus, lied that Keff was called by the president. He lied that I will be coming on the show on Monday. And he said that you guys were coming on the show. Whereas he told me on the last conversation that I had with him that the two of you are done with Spoon Talk. That's when we made the decision to issue the statement, because we said we do not want to come across like, oh, this divide and conquer and rooting has taken hold, and for Keff to feel like, there was something else going on. That's all that happened. That's all that happened. That was why we issued the statement on Friday night, because of what he did. And let me add this before you come in.
Right.
Tomalin George said to me, when I got you drafting the statement, he said, maybe we should text it to him. I said to Tomalin, I said, the same way Stanton disrespected us by going on the show, without our knowledge, he will read our statement on Facebook, because this has to stop. Those were my words to Tomalin George. And that's the reason why we issued that statement. So it had nothing to do with somebody betraying somebody in the hour of need. In fact, most of the people today who talking about us betraying were the people who was telling us to resign from the platform on the day that the indictment came out.
Thank you.
Most of the people who are doing it.
Thank you, Dr. Peabody. I mean, this whole thing about what Mr. Witherspoon announced about Keff saying, hey, somebody at the highest told me, Keff is saying this is not true. And my question to you, I want you to comment on that and what also Eugene Fagon said. And this whole idea that now you started from the very beginning, and now you're being called that you have betrayed Mr. Witherspoon at his time of need. I want you to also speak to that. And did you, because if you work with someone for this long, you sometimes give 2-week notice, or at least you inform the person. Did you actually call or email Mr. Witherspoon to say, I'm calling it quit?
Mr. Ja, there are some jobs where they can walk you out. They can walk you out of the office the same day. They can come and get you and take you to leave the office and don't come back. You're not given the opportunity to give 2-week notice. I had no intention of leaving Spoon, but when you are blocked, I was blocked. I did not have access to even watch the show. I couldn't even get the notification. And then I was blocked in the chat room as well, because when we engaged him about rebranding, he got upset. In fact, I was one of those. There's another friend of ours who was one of the original members of the show, Reverend Raymond Callison. Raymond, I had a conversation. Raymond said, look, man, you are a pastor, I'm a pastor. What can we do on this show? And I shared with Raymond, I said, Raymond, we've got to rebrand because we are getting the hate. I mean, everywhere you turn, people are calling you. I mean, people who haven't spoken to me for 2-3 years will call, just checking on you, whether you're well. I had to tell one lady, look, man, I'm not sick, okay? I'm not sick, I'm fine, because one of the things is Stanton knew his business. I didn't know anything about what he was doing. I know he was a very generous guy. Don't get me wrong. He was very generous. I mean, that's what I know. Good guy. And I've known him for more than 20 years, and I didn't know what he was doing. But when this happened, we all got affected, our families, and there were different discussions about us and this and that. And, we took a hit. Stanton's not the only person that it's just that he got indicted, but people were already indicting us by association and all of that. They were indicting us. They were saying a lot of things. Some say you got to get up. I got over 100 calls that you got to leave that show. If we wanted to betray Stanton, we would have left the same day or the same week, because the pressure I got, I was ready to get out, because just from the people and some of the very people now who are saying you betrayed Stanton are the one that, we're calling us to leave the show, and we said we'll stand there. I used to text Stanton every day. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you every day. I was sending a text message. But
so what Mr. Witherspoon said about Keff is not true.
I don't. It's not true, because Keff was mediating. He had told Keff that he didn't want too many eye on the show. He was done with us, and Keff kept telling him, "See, you can't do that." Then Keff would call. He would call me, "Oh, my man, I don't leave." I said, "Keff, the man blocked me. I gotta go. I mean, I will leave the show. The man blocked me. I'm going to leave the show." I mean, and Keff said, "No, we're working on it." So up to Friday, Keff called me, because I have just given up. Since Tuesday, I have no access to get on the show. Every time the show is on, maybe somebody will have to tag me and say, "Why are you not on the show?" And I said, "Well, taking some time off," but he had blocked me from the show. I had no access to the show, so I had no alternative but to leave. In regards to Mr. Fagon, I don't think I'm going to give that credence. Fagon is my very good friend, and I don't think I want to talk anything about that. We advocated for Fagon to come on the show. I was one of those who talked this year. I think that Fagon come, and Fagon myself had major conversation almost every day. So I don't think so. I don't think we need to get into it. I understand what the CEO is going through, but I think he needs to sit back a little bit and think. But these kind of things will not help. It will not help the platform, or you telling somebody else this person didn't want you to come on the show. I think those are very childish, and I'm not going to get into that.
But were any of you call for any form of investigation because people thought you were under surveillance as well?
No, we haven't. Nobody had to engage.
Mr. Josh, where do you go from here?
Well, let me say something first. Liberians, let me tell you something. We are unique people. Very interesting. I remember when this thing happened first. The very people that is talking trash about us today, we are betrayed. Well, telling us, say, leave that show. And mind you, when Spunto controlled the air of the social media, most of the people here attacking us were the one they will call these guys are dummy. They insulted us all the time. They do nothing. But when the show was progressing, there were times where, depending on who political leaders is on scrutiny at a particular moment, they would attack. They would start insulting. They go to the top of the FBI story, talk about the crap, all the stuff we're doing. It had just been what's going on. Now to the point where I see some of them today who have podcasts attacking us, now telling us that you will be betrayed. I don't care what is fee. My daughters, my family, they are showing me love. They are showing me love. And that's what matters to me. Okay? And I say posterity will judge our decision. What I did was done with the dictate of my conscience. They can say what they want to say and write what they want to write. I don't care. Because I know if they were in our shoes, they would have done maybe something worse than that. Maybe if they did indictment came, they would have said, well, they're gone. But we stood by. We stood by and defended and worked on the show every day. Now, Mr. Ja, when Sterling started to make schedule, tell me now, we're going through this kind of difficult period. He makes a schedule and say, Tomalin, you off. The person off. I said, no, Sterling, you're wrong. You can't do that. We're going through a difficult period. Since this thing started, we have, in fact, the entire team came together on the show. We're coming on the show regularly now. We've been standing with you. Why you make schedule and say the person off, that person not working, they're coming on the show today? That's wrong. Then he said, one point you want me using Fagon host. I said, no, you can't do that, brother. I said, you can't do that. Only the regular members can be hosts. You can't be Fagon. We not brought guest hosts on the show before. Why you want to do it now? Okay? And then next thing he did, he started to do that divide and conquer. He talked to various one time on several occasions, talked to Keff and Ben, and then just like that, he started to exclude me and Peabody off. Then he said, he told them, I'm taking them off. They're not coming on no more. All because I said I will not come on the show until our full team were on the show. At that moment, I thought those who you were talking to constantly would have said, look, the Keff went to him and said, look, let us meet. We can't be like this. We are divided. I even called Virginia. I said, look, I'll blow you on spoon. Right? What's happening right now? You're the only lady. Try to put the guys together instead of taking hands-off approach. It's not. It's going to get worse. And I told her, and she said, and she was like, no interest to show that she will put the guys together. As a lady will say, look, I'm your sister. I'll bring your guys together. But it didn't happen. So when he the next morning I got up, I found myself out of the chat room. I wasn't getting linked no more. So I knew what you are one way out. So I said, look, guys, stand with us. I said, Keff, you go on the show now, you undermine us because let us stand by each other. When our time came that he wanted to take it off the show, we stood by you. That really thing, that be friend. You don't go on that show until all the guys can go on the show together. They push for that. But apparently, the divine conquer was working. That divine thing, bringing division amongst us. And so when he came on the show, after Keff gave the dagger to him and saying, look, I'm done. I'm not going to come if the guy's not coming. He came on the show on Friday and said, oh, Peabody and Tony, come on. After you said you are taking off the chat room, you have already said that we're not coming back on the show. Then you come and said the public say we're coming back on the show and then coming back. Come on, man. Come on, guys.
And at this time, Josh, did he ask all of you to come by even after the resignation that you guys wrote?
No, let me tell you something, Mr. Sieh. Stoner is one guy who will not tell you sorry. He wrong you, he'll tell you sorry. And even with this case on, you would think Stoner was showing a post where to show some, okay, showing some remorse or showing something, you know. But I was surprised in meetings. Stoner will be the same person. He'll be blasting and bending coming after this person. I said, I thought during this moment, this guy would be calm and focused. Every morning, I'll text the guy. My man, we are in touch and prayers with you. People who can get to him will say.
And you think what is responsible for that behavior you're talking about?
I don't know, but funny. I mean, there's a guy who he won't tell you sorry. I mean, sometimes you go on a show when we have a show that we're not uncomfortable with. We'll tell you in the background. Like your example, doing the issue of the CPP document. Mm-hmm. When he said, "Come and figure out the document," I said, "Man, you can't say that. You can't pass judgment. You can't pass judgment on this case. Then I want place to pass judgment. Then I discuss the issues, and the public can make their own analysis. Mm-hmm. They can do the court of public opinion, but you can't pass judgment. You know. So now when he go after a certain person, we're not doing the show because if you try on the show, you embarrass on the show. He will try to shut you down. Okay, and then last thing too, while all this was going on, after we said, look, step aside. You can still look for the public perception and uptake. You come and say, look, because of what's happening now, I'm stepping aside, and XYZ, maybe the lady in Liberia will act as CEO. But you can still be in the background, you know, still playing your little role there, but you're not. But just for the public perception to say, look, you guys at least the CEO step aside. Because every day on the show, when you make a post on your personal page, they put top of the CEO, we're going through all this stuff. So we have to say, look, step aside.
But so to this point, Stanton is still the CEO of all his complaints.
Of course. Okay, that was the thing too. He said, look, be that way so that we can make progress, so we can get the show going. And because when I try to get guests, you know, tell me now, oh man, you can talk about the issue. We come on your show. We're not going to come because you don't get credibility. I'm going to throw everything in my faces, you know.
And Dennis. There's this thing we heard that Stanton has stopped you, the panelists, from going on any other platform. That's one I want to know whether that is true. And sometime back when you guys went to Liberia and made that trip, you all promised a report from what I listened to all of you on the show that day. Has that report been made? And finally, I'm one of those who accuse you people of buying views, and I want to be kept honest here too, and keeping you honest as well. Do you guys buy views, or do you know of any buying views on Spoon? Because this is about accountability. You guys are holding politicians and political actors by their neck.
Well, you just made a statement. You talk about who has the money and who does what. Nobody. I don't know about what they call buying views. I really don't.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't know what it's like. I don't know who does it. We don't do that. I don't know. I just come on the show and
that's what I'm saying. We come on the show. And let me address the issue about whether we can't adhere on any platform. I know he never told me that. I've called on several platforms since I've been on Spoon Talk. The problem that I have, let me tell you one of the reasons why we don't go on other platforms is because it's exhausting. I mean, we were doing this thing every single day. And it's at least y'all get a chance to take a break. Y'all do your, I mean, which is your editorial decision, right? Mm-hmm. But it's by the time you finish doing 3 hours, and you know sometimes our show, sometimes it's never structured as far as time. We'll sit there for like 3-4 hours, depending on what we are discussing. Right. But many times I've called on Lofa Julia's show, I've called on George Lobo's show. Many times, I think I've called on your show 1 or 2 times. Oh, yeah. Now, the question is, well, he never told me. I didn't sign any contract to say you can count on no show. Now, yes, sometimes he will laugh and say, "Oh my man, you don't go on this place," or you don't go. But come on, it's just like I say, boys talk. Sometimes we laugh and we take it from there. On the issue of the report from Liberia, look, let me say this. and I think a lot of people, and it comes with the territory, right? When you get to that certain level, you said, and I do remember us saying we gave a full report on the video, and a lot of people only hopped on the fact that they said why we the report and what was discussed with President Weah, right? Because that was the most important. Until we met President Weah, nobody had interest in that visit until President Weah came and sat down with us for about a couple of hours. So people wanted to know, and there was all this conspiracy theory out there that we had gotten money and stuff like that. The truth of the matter is, we had a very frank and casual conversation with the president. It was a mixture of social, political, personal. It was like a relaxed environment.
Right. So but the report was never given. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, maybe we should not have said we would issue a written report, or maybe we should not have said we would issue a report. But it was just one of those things where we just said, we will issue the reports. But that's it. But that's that's what happened.
Thank you. We want to open our phone lines at least 30 seconds each for the callers because time is fast spent. But Mr. George, let me come to you. Another thing that we're hearing is, did you at any point engage or have any confrontation with your co-panelist, Dr. Francine, or his family, and you were issuing some threats of saying all kinds of things that I even can't say here? What was that like?
I think it was on Thursday or so. I at that time, right? At that time, he had said that Peabody and I was off the show. We're not going to go back. So, and I was dealing with Ben. I brought Francine on. I brought the spoon, right? When we were a lady, I went after and brought her. So I called her. I said, Regis, what's happening right now? It's not fair. So, but I see you still hosting the show. It's not fair to. I think the roles should be playing other roles that try to stabilize and show that all the guys are on the show on the same page. But you keep coming to the show, it's like you undermine or you betray us because we should be in one accord. But you keep going to the show. I mean, and I have a problem with that because now I believe you guys are comfortable with it because that's what you see happening. Peabody and I have been thrown out of the chat room. We're not getting them a link. Okay, Ben said he's not coming because we're not there. And Keff, only between she and Keff now. Keff are trying to make peace. Keff are trying to stay negotiate to say, look, let us come together. Let's come together. So I told her that, and I didn't stop there. I said, I told my husband, I said, look, try to discourage the original coming on the show because they're where we are right now. I called one of her best friends and said, you have to get them, put pressure on her. So that at the end of the day, she was saying, something, either all the guys come back or then we stay, just be in solidarity with us because.
Did you threaten her in any way?
Yeah, well, no threat, nothing.
All right.
But let me just clarify something, right? I know some people taking it wrong here. I did not say the FBI got Mr. Cummings' passport. Let me make it clear. I did not say so. So they're carrying it wrong. That's a lie. I did not say so. So you're starting that misleading. And one thing too, because in a political season, you hear people with different views. Those who ain't in like we are, they will defend Stanton. Those who ain't like the person will defend another person. But what happened? But I want to let you guys know, I really don't care how you all feel and think about me. Trust me.
Thank you. And callers, please stop calling my phone. Personally, I'm using this to log in. So at this time, we open our phone line. There are so many callers. So callers, if you call, 30 seconds should be enough, and you should be able to make your point quickly. First caller, your name and where you calling from quickly.
Yeah, Mr. Jazz, Elvis calling from Minnesota. Hello to the guys. And thanks for coming on the platform. I just want to say, I think it's clear to most of us who are watching you tonight that Stanton never saw you guys as a partner, but more as an employee, and he treated you as such. And then secondly to Mr. Ben Sanvee, I mean, a few years ago, when I was on Facebook, active on Facebook, your political poster for running for senator in Monserrate was one of the things that even encouraged me to get into following Liberian politics because you were young. I thought you was a vibrant candidate. So what happened with your political career? Because I thought you had a bright career, a political future in Liberia. Are you still contemplating on going back and maybe furthering your career in politics? I have no question, but I'll get off the line quickly.
Thank you. Let's go to Benjamin Jonah. Benjamin, you have 35 seconds. Quickly, please.
40 seconds. Well, I want to thank you guys for being very brave, for leading that criminal defendant, Stanton Waterspoon. The guy, he did not respect these people, and he shows no remorse. But guys, there was something that the Francine said, and she said you guys are trying to blackmail her. So if there's something that we don't know that you guys are trying to do to this lady, please address that issue. I will be very happy to hear what you guys have to say about that blackmail issue.
Thank you. Pape Flomo, quickly. And
yes. Thanks for having me, and I'm going to make it very short. I think Stanton, you see, I've taken some beating for Stanton because I've always defended him. They seem like defending Michael because there's no evidence against Michael. They have not taken Michael to any court of competent jurisdiction when he's guilty. In the same way, as Stanton has not been taken to any court of competent jurisdiction, so they should start saying, Stanton should go to judicial criminal. I've always defended him, and my friends have gone after me. But I think this one, Stanton crossed the line. I think you should call the guys and apologize. The guys are only helping him. It happens everywhere. Even if you are the founder of an organization and there's a sex scandal, there's a money scandal, there's any scandal, they step aside and let the other guys run the show, and then when that case is simmered, then you can come back. I think he did the guys wrong. He should apologize to them, and then I don't know if the guys will go back, but my brother Stanton is wrong on this one. I'm not going to defend you on this one. You are wrong. I think Stanton is an arrogant individual, and he's over his head because he's got money. I think that's what I'm going to say. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Let's go to Kesali Double. And gentlemen, please take notes. Let me quickly take Kesali Double. And please, if you are calling me directly, please stop calling me. You are disturbing me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai, and let me say good evening to everyone on panel. On an issue that has to do further with buying views, that is true. I can attest to it because myself, I didn't believe it until one time on the United Party chairman appeared on the show. I was watching the show, the view was somewhere around 700, 800. Stanton went behind the scene when he came back on in less than 2 minutes. The view went to 3,500. And that 3,500 remained constant for over an hour. We were watching our platform and nobody didn't want to please, nobody dropped off. We were just there. That I want to believe how they can buy you.
Thank you.
You see the reason why, let me just learn on this one, please, Mr. Jack. You guys always accuse politicians. Every time one politician make this decision, they will come and say, why he didn't do this one? When he does this one, they complain, why he didn't do this one? Now it is in their shoe now, I hear them complaining. When you have resigned, people will complain. Now we didn't resign, people complain. This is where it is. So I mean, you guys are seeing what the politicians go through. Now you are tasting the gravy of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sarah Sinan, please let's do it under 1 minute. Sarah Sinan, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dennis, for the opportunity. So quickly, for me, I think the guys, did the right thing to resign because friendship is not about my own personal character. So once my character is at stake, I give it, a chance and let the issue go. I think they did well for them to resign. With respect to, the wrangling between them, that's one side of the story. But this is my last comment that I want to make. So when we discuss the issue about conflict and use the word, true. Sometimes, I find it difficult for people who support these political parties when they are on a platform for them to say, oh, this is the truth, when they know very well, in actual fact, that is not the truth. So, they're going through their issues, but I think they did the right thing for them to resign because that platform tends to promote truth, as they call it. So when something has to do with corruption is being linked to that platform, the right thing to do is to recuse yourself so that your character can be, preserved. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. 934 area code, you are live. Go ahead, your name, please.
Thank you. My name is Michael. I call from Minnesota. Listening to these guys tonight, a few days ago, listening to Mr. Farkan, I think these guys have good intentions. I think maybe their delivery was a little bit poor, and then the CEO interpreted it differently. And some of the people were talking, sticking news on the other side, all this kind of thing. You can be a CEO and step aside. These guys have no intention of taking this mail property. All of the documentation in his name. Just step aside, take care of the court case, and let's run the show. I personally said that Center or giving them some of the money to be transferring it. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
these guys, you know, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have over like 40 callers. We just want to make it very quickly here. Let's, Darling Warwood. Go ahead, darling. You don't even have to tell me hello. Just go ahead.
All right. So I want to highlight two things tonight. These guys in studio guests, they told us, they put out a statement yesterday by Benson that they are resigning, that they are resigned from the social. And tonight they are telling us that certain writers who had earlier fired them from the show. So we wanted to withdraw that statement and say that they were fired. Because they were fired before they put on the statement. We just got it tonight. So it's not only certain that is lying that the president of the government asked Keff to resign. So they to the lie that they resigned. They did not resign, they were fired. Let's get that straight.
Thank you. GS Kemo, your 30 seconds, please.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Tomalin, this is GS. Look, my question is, I got the show live. I mean, I came on late, so I don't know if maybe you said it, but my question to the guys there is that for the statement I heard for Tomalin that they all wanted to be on the same pattern that I'm seeing on mine, they came on. I just want to know if whether it is true that there are some internal wrangling and they are threatening to blackmail Dr. Francine, because you know in Liberia, when two parties make plow, by the time all the secrets can come up.
Yeah.
So is it a time of the secret to come up? Because all of these things they are saying, we have not heard in the past of Central being arrogant and controlling and all those things. So that's my question to the guy.
Thank you.
Secondly, I wanted to ask. Secondly, I want to ask 1 minute. I want to ask if they wanted the show to stop when the whole thing came out, because they were not coming on. They wanted the show to stop, and then until they can come to them and come to an agreement for the come back on the show. And if they had an official intent to have their own show,
right?
Before that,
thank you.
The department call and they're asking to vacate the show.
Thank you. We have so many callers. I think I will take 5 more. And gentlemen, please mark down the one that have to do with blackmailing Dr. Francine. I want you to address that quickly. Patrick Johnson, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I got 2 points. My first one is has to do with the joint resignation. Why it was not individually done. It was done by group of you guys together, because that sent a wrong message that is a sign of plot. Then the next one, Keff said there was no conversation between he and the CEO about the president. But later on, he said that he called the CEO. Can he little bit elaborate on that a little more?
Thank you, Patrick. In Minneapolis, 612 area code, quickly.
Yes, I have the question I have has to do with the policy. What if the panelists have the written policy in the beginning of the show that they will follow should an emergency occur? Based on what is happening right now and what Ben just explained, saying that they wanted the platform needs to be changed, will that bring credibility back to the show, even after the panelists failed to discuss the initial arrest of the CEO? So the mistake here were made in the beginning. I thought that the best thing the panelists should have done was to ask the CEO to recuse himself, but in the meantime to continue doing what it's supposed to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Lara Mike Yonton. Mr. Yonton, 30 seconds. Lara Mike is not paying attention. Dr. Batum Kula, go ahead.
Yeah,
Gentlemen, stand strong. Everything you guys said, you just solidified what I had known about Stanton all along. The guy's a narcissistic, manipulative control freak. You guys did nothing by leaving. You had no obligation to stay, and even just stay 30 days too long. But people, and what he's pushing his family's head is that you guys somehow wanted to steal his show, and that the government of Liberia was trying to make y'all steal his show. How could y'all steal his show by rebranding? Please explain that to Liberians, the difference between rebranding and owning a show. Thank you.
Thank you. The next caller here, Lawrence Yanni.
Yeah, my name is Lawrence Yanni. I first want to know if it is true that Keff Hassan graduated from this nursing school. And secondly, they spoke earlier today and said that their resignation has not been based on the indictment. It was until when Dr. Peabody came out now that he was black before. But if every one of them has come to the conclusion that they have resigned because of the indictment, why couldn't they wait until after the case? Then lastly, you have agreed to work for years with a polluter system, making $800 per month.
Why you say it's polluted?
Maybe the case will go that way. It might be wrong that he carry on the fraudulent act to build up this institution. When it comes that way and Satan is guilty, what will you guys say? Ignorance to the law is not a section. So what have you to say about this? Then what Vianney have you to finally say about this case? Do you think Satan is wrong or Satan is right? You know, following is the whole saga.
Thank you. Robert Glickman Gagwa Jr., go ahead. You have 39 seconds, please.
Thank you, sir. Two things I'm going to say. Look, Ben, Tomalin, Keff, Dr. Peabody, the strength and courage to come out and speak your truth is commendable. Let me say this. The professional thing to do under these circumstances when you are indicted is to step aside. Stanton or no one else who claims to be a professional should be told to do what's right. That's one. Two, people talked about betrayal, and there's something fundamentally wrong with our mindset. The true betrayal here is when you have such an illegal and dangerous operation running, as has been alleged by the federal government indictment, but lack the decency and simple courtesy to inform these people who will do anything to defend you, who have traveled with you under false pretense, is more dangerous of a betrayer than anything else. So I will come on the show tomorrow or some other time to really expound on these things. But you guys, I want you to know that you did nothing wrong. The courage. Don't worry about what people is going to say about you.
Thank you.
Worry about what you did right and how you're going to be judged later on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Let's go to Moses Sandy. I'm so afraid I can't exhaust the calls. I mean, they're just endless. Mr. Sandy, 30 seconds, please.
Yes, thank you, Dennis. I just want to say that I applaud the action taken by my friend and brother Tomalin George and his colleagues in calling it a quit. I'm one of the first individuals. If you read the article, Spoon Talk Credibility Dumping, and the Liberian journalists that raised the issue that Mr. Witherspoon's name has become a distraction to Spoon Talk. In that article, I asked that he step aside because it is hypocritical for Spoon Talk to bring in individuals to discuss contemporary issues in Liberia, holding people accountable on issues of corruption, at the same time shy away from Mr. Witherspoon's current situation in the United States. Because from when the story broke, Spoon Talk never reported that. And as a media entity, as a CEO, holding others accountable, he was also on a similar obligation. The people needed to know what was happening, but that didn't happen. So I applaud the guys. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't betray him. And I think that that is what we need to do in our community. So people must be held accountable like any other person. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take this one caller now, then I'll go back to our panelists. We still have 35 to go. So call up with 267 area code, your name, please, and go ahead.
Well, this is Ashford Garland.
Go ahead, Mr. Gali, the giant.
Well, again, I just want to apologize to the Liberian people. I brought in trouble on all of you. Still was being in nursing school. I said, my man, radio is powerful. I do radio business. And when we got into the business, I said, Ashford, I'll give you 30% take engage. I'll buy a ticket, go out there. I said, okay, when I buy the ticket, I'll find my own car to drive and get my own place to stay. I worked hard, took a motel for $25, built the platform from the ground up. I went for 2 weeks. I invested 2 months in Liberia. Just after the inauguration, only the family that they boys is so wicked and greedy, arrogant, narcissistic human being. He wants everything for himself. And for Eugene Fagon to come out to say, I'm letting in Liberia people to go above. I never met Eugene Fagon in my whole life. We only spoke on the phone. When I told Fagon I was in Liberia, it's 2020. I established Spoon long before Fagon got appointed to the government. So he lied on my name. And guys, take courage. Take courage. You guys got patient. I couldn't stay on with Sterling for 3 years. That's why I left. And up to today, Sterling will call my name until God calls him. Because with God above, I made that little boy. But his own arrogance got him to where he's at today. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go back to our panelists. Mr. Sieh, we still have like 35 callers. I don't think we'll ever exhaust them. So the first question I want you to address is this issue of blackmailing Dr. Francine, your fellow panelist.
Who's going?
I think I don't think anybody will do that. I personally know Dr. Francine. I know her husband. We are very good friends. And I don't think anybody on this panel should even try to do that. That will be bad. I think it's false and misleading. No one will do that. You know, we don't have problem with Dr. Richardson. It is her prerogative to leave or stay, just how some of us took that muster the courage to do it. And I think that's just false and misleading. And that's what we're talking about, dividing panelists and bringing confusion among them. But I don't think anyone will do that. I personally will never do that. And if any of my colleagues here plan to do that, I'll tell them that's nonsense. Do not do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Quickly, let me take Tavina Cole. We have one female calling at least. Tavina, go ahead. Tavina, are you there? All right. Tavina is not ready there.
So let me.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Very interesting topic. Well, you know, I didn't want to call, but as I listened to the show, this just reminded me about a woman being in an abusive relationship. You know, you're being abused, you just took the abuse for so many years, and one day you just muster the courage to just get out of the abusive relationship. And so that's how I did. You know, everybody I kind of know the guy, so I'm closer to them than the other. But, you know, it took a long time for them to come to this point. But I applaud them for coming to this point. The people that are putting in traitors and betrayers, they don't know the inside story. But people who know since a long time ago, these guys have been with them. They know Stanton's personality. If they know the true Stanton, other than him being a giver, they won't be calling these guys traitors because these guys they took the bullet for Stanton. They have been there for him. So I applaud them. I applaud them for speaking up, and they need to pick out the broken pieces and keep moving. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, let me start with Kev. What's your next step? Are you picking up the broken pieces to keep moving?